nearing the end of our day tour, we'd looked around the joint security area, which is sort of 3 buildings that are jointly held. We'd been into one of them. So effectively, we'd walked on North Korean territory, which was quite exciting. And we'd come back out of those buildings and we were on the South Korean side. There's no border or a gate or fence or anything like that as such in this area. It is guarded by soldiers from South Korea, and there were also American soldiers there. I understand that often there are North Korean soldiers on the other side of the line, but they haven't been seen since the pandemic. They've sort of stayed in a building that sits behind the 3 jointly sort of administered buildings on their own side, of course. So anyway, we were heading back, and everyone was just sort of milling around, being watched by the soldiers on our side. And then suddenly I noticed a guy dressed in black, running what looked like full gas towards the North Korean side. And my first thought was, what an absolute idiot. I assumed he was sort of getting a mate to film it for some kind of TikTok stunt or something like that. But he just didn't stop, and he kept going. And then the US and South Korean soldiers sort of realized what was happening, chased after him, yelled at us to sort of get in the building on the South Korean side. So we all ran in after that. But they didn't catch him. He was we were pretty close to the border, and it would have been pretty hard to stop him from that range. But yeah, he was going pretty fast. I had noticed him because he wasn't in a group, and I'd noticed him. He bought a DMZ hat at a souvenir shop, and I just remember seeing him sitting outside the souvenir shop. This was much earlier in the day, wearing his DMZ hat, and I thought, oh well, that guy was quick to buy that hat. I had no idea he was a soldier or anything like that. He was just wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And he was pretty quiet. I overheard one of the other passengers, or one of the other people on the tour, saying that they'd sat next to him and he hadn't really said anything, whereas most other people were sort of in family groups of 2, 3, 4, something like that. So I had no interactions with him. So we went back into a building which is on the South Korean side, still in the joint security area, and then after that the soldiers got us out of there pretty quickly. Like we had been on a military bus while we were on the joint security area, and they, as soon as we got into the building on the South Korean side, they said, right, get back, run back to the bus. And so we all ran back to the bus. They got on, and then we'd had our passports checked about 3 times already by that stage. So as we were heading back out of the joint security area into the sort of greater DMZ on the South Korean side, they checked us again, and then they worked out who he was, that he was American, what his name was, because they called his name out. He obviously didn't put his hand up as the rest of us had. And then we went back out of the JSA to the South Korean side of the DMZ, and we sort of waited there for about an hour and a half, and we all had to write a brief statement. Everybody was stunned and shocked. There were some people who hadn't even realized what was going on, and then they, I saw the back of them disappearing, but there were some people who were just sort of pottering around taking photos and that kind of thing. And they actually, when we got on the bus, someone sort of said, I overheard someone say, what the hell happened there? And the American captain who was taking the tour at that point explained what had happened.